Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Autopsy with Maddie P. I'm your host, Maddie P. Girl. We're on week 4. We are literally on week 4 of the 4-week plan. How are you doing? Do you feel better? Do you feel more light? Are you happier? How's it going? I hope it's going well. Last week we did spirituality. That can be intense for some people. If that was intense for you, I'm sorry, and I hope you took it lightly as advised by moi. And I hope you're recovering well, because I know God is a scary concept for a lot of people. Week 4, we're done with that shit. We're done with spirituality this week, okay? I don't have warm-ups. Like I said, we're not doing a ton of warm-ups during these series, girl. But I will say, I've had quite the week quitting vaping. It's been fantastic. Don't get me wrong. I've had a great week. A lot of insights and a lot of things come to the surface that I was asking for and I was needing. A lot of clarity. And one thing that I have been living this week by is that there is always more love to give. Cheesy. I heard that quote this week. I heard it actually on something I was watching, and my mom bought a new house, and she was showing me her house, and somebody had written that on the stairwell to like go in the basement. There's always more love to give. Twice that popped up in my life. Sorry? Yeah. So I've been living my life like that this week, and you guys already know I'm all for that, because what is love? Love is freeing. Love is freeing. That gives us freedom. When we care and we love other things, other people, our life opens up. Okay. And I constantly have to remind myself that it is as simple as that. I also posted a TikTok crying my eyes out, bawling my eyes out, because when I got my wisdom teeth out, we all know I went through it for a few days. Really rough. Not even physically, emotionally. And I'm like, what is my purpose in this life? Like, I'm editing the podcast. The podcast was frustrating me. It was the week where like my phone kept hooking up to GarageBand. So the editing process was hard and it was just a lot. And I was bawling my eyes out, girl. And you know what all the comments were? I loved this. Cohesively, everyone decided your purpose is to be you, Maddie. Our purpose is to be me. That's the purpose here. The purpose is that we enjoy life. That is beautiful. That is not something other generations have. And that's not something anyone can take away from us too. And I think that goes along with there's always more love to give. And that includes with ourself. That's how I have to hear that quote. And yeah, so like cheesy, but it's I thought it sounded like a youth minister today. But that's something I've been living my life by this week. And it has opened my heart and my soul. Okay. Week 4. Can't believe this is happening. Can't believe we're here. Week 4 is about honesty. Week 1 was about our past a bit, but it was more so for the groundwork. It was for planning out and laying everything out on paper so we can see where we're headed. This is about our past and more of an inquisitive way, I guess. What's the word? Like investigative way. Okay. It's about our shame and our guilt and the stuff that we hold on to that we've developed along the way. If you're anything like me, we've talked about shame and guilt. I had a serious issue with this when I first got sober. Now, obviously, I don't do things that cause me to experience shame or guilt because I'm just a girl and I just like go to work and do my shit, whatever. But I'm sure if I did something, it would still catastrophically hurt me because I struggle with shame and guilt. And as a liar, I think it's very funny that I struggle with lying and the pain of that, and what it took to grow out of that. Okay. So this is definitely a week about shame and guilt, which you may experience irregardless the fact that you're not an alcoholic. If you're not an alcoholic. Okay. This is something every human experiences, especially around alcohol use. These are the things that you hate about yourself. When you look back to that one night and you're like, I did that in public for people to see it. And they probably remember it. It's kind of like that vibe. A little bit. And let me tell you, a guilty conscience is no place to live. As healing people, we do not have room for a guilty conscience. We do not hold space. We are not holding air for a guilty conscience. Not possible. Okay. This is something we have to completely rid ourselves of. How do we do that? We're honest about it. We come clean, whether that looks like paper. If you want to use a friend, you can use a friend. and we tell our secrets. We tell what we have been carrying around this whole time. Let me tell you, I had a lot of those. I had some that were very, very serious, that when I put my eyes to bed, when I shut my eyes at night, I could see the threats of my past and of the things that I had done, and them coming back and finding me and ruining my current life. When I let go of these things, which I didn't think was fully possible, by the way, it changed my life. I have not thought about some of these things since the day that I let them off my chest, since that very day, which things were circling me from my past I thought they were going to circle me for all of time. And I didn't think I'd ever get rid of them. Okay. Yours might not be as severe as mine. Because again, I'm an alcoholic. I am an addict. I have compulsive issues. I have so many issues across the board that normal people do not have. So this can be taken very lightly for you, just a way to rid yourself of that guilty conscience, because I know that it's something that almost killed me, and I think everyone struggles with it. And I think it is a good recipe to really open your mind, open your heart as you prepare to walk away from me after these 4 weeks. And you want to take some stuff back into your life. You want to keep the feeling that you have, maybe the openness, the open mind with yourself, the peace, the love that you feel for yourself that maybe you haven't felt before, hopefully. And a way to carry that out is to be honest. So if you don't struggle like I do, because I'm an alcoholic, once again, this is another way for us to, to assess your ego. That's kind of what this is about. If you don't have things you look back on commonly or from time to time, then we are going to assess the ego and assess how we feel. In the program that I'm in, it's a 12-step program. Step 4 and 5 deal with this type of thing, okay? And I wanted to make a whole separate episode too for the alcoholics in the room with me right now who understand the freeing nature of that step, who understand the freeing nature of letting go of a guilty conscience. I am not pulling that and bringing that to you because that's not what this is about. This is me making things easier for people who are just struggling a little bit, who just want some mental health help. Not if you have a problem. Once again, I'll say that. Not if you have an issue, because we are not here for that. Okay. This isn't like a rehab center. This isn't AA. This is just for already kind of somewhat healthy people who just want to take it a step further. Not people who are sick. And yeah, that step 4 and 5 is my absolute favorite. I'll say it again. And this is the reason I can even sleep. I think first getting sober, a lot of me not sleeping was 100% revolvent around shame and guilt. And my brain just replaying and replaying and replaying. And I think I'm coaching myself. I think it's like replaying the tapes like from the past. And I'm like, what do we do different now? I don't know why my brain will not shut up about some of that stuff. And I think like, if you don't struggle with that, this can also include like you trying to fit into something that you're not, and you trying to make yourself something that you're not, or be a certain person you're not for that person or whatever. And this is like you assessing that you are you and you're okay with that now. Or you're starting the adventure of growing, the journey of growing to being okay with who you are, not for anybody else. That was hard for me too. And again, sometimes when we get better, it is revolvent around for it being for other people, which is fantastic either way. If that's your muse, that's your muse. And so I'm hopeful that these past 3 weeks, you've gained enough strength and kind of knowledge to really assess where you are without damaging yourself, because we've worked on that. And if you're still in that place, that's okay, because I fear that if I would have done this too, I would still be in that place, because that is so hard for me. Very difficult for me. But I hope it's getting easier for you to understand that, okay? Week 4. This week revolves around honesty. Week 4 scours our honesty. It is time to come clean of our guilts and shames. A peaceful heart makes no home for a guilty conscience. Hopeful to better our poor character flaws and learn from our past to make room for new. Gaining a clean slate. And I think that's also why I chose this as week 4, because in reality, this is a perspective change. Okay, that's what's happening here. The what I want you to walk away with is understanding the clean slate mentality that sobriety gives me, that sobriety gives other alcoholics and addicts. We get a chance at a new life, and you get to create that new chance whenever you want. You get to start over, create a new life, and get rid of that shit whenever you want. Just because you get it, just because you did it, and you know, like, technically, yes, it can't go away. You don't just wipe it clean of the past. But you choose if you move forward. You choose if you've done enough work to let that thing go. And I didn't know that I could do, like, enough work that I would recognize that internally and say, you know, to myself, you did it. You did enough work around that to let that go. And you've done everything that you possibly can to rid of that. And naturally, I could let go. And that's somebody who I don't let go easy. It was not easy for me to let go of these things in my past whatsoever. But that's what I built in myself. And you get to choose that. And that clean slate mentality is a perspective change. We look at life completely different when we have a clean slate because we're not of our past anymore like we used to be. Like I used to be a walking version of my past, especially in early sobriety. And I could not let go, so I thought. So I think that's what I'm trying to kind of introduce you to. And maybe what does it take for you to get your clean slate? Why are you not allowed to have one like other people are? What is it? Are you still holding on to your old ways? Is it because you don't want to fully let go? And part of you is like, I need to leave that there in case I go back to that, in case I go back to my default mechanisms. No. We forgive ourselves. We hold ourselves to a different standard, but we understand we can make mistakes. I look like a hobbit hiding back here. But we understand that we can make mistakes when we're starting to heal and we gain a clean slate. If we retreat, we go back to our old ways. That is natural. We are human. What do we do? What do we do, guys? We journal, we meditate, and we think on it. And we write about it, and we deeply ponder. What else do we do, guys? I'm saying if you're learning. What else do we do? Silence, solitude, being alone, and shutting the fuck up and sitting the fuck down. That's what we do. So I'm hopeful we are kind of getting to that stage in yourself. And if you are, immensely proud of you. So proud of you. Yeah, like now, if somebody were to approach me about my past, guess what? That's not me. Guess what? I don't know who that is. Who the fuck is that? Right? Which is kind of funny because it's like, of course, always accountability. Always. Like we were learning. We get this because we have accountability. We get a clean slate. We get a full new mindset because we are accountable for our actions. We are responsible for our past, period. But that will never hang over our head ever again because we are accountable of it. And yeah, the past girl, I feel bad for her. She was sick. I feel bad for her. That's it. I don't hate her. I'm not angry with her. I understand she was suffering tremendously. It took me months to understand that. That was not natural in the very beginning. How many times do I have to say that that was not natural? But yeah, that wasn't something that it just clicked in my brain. It took me a while to really grasp that. Regardless of your past, your tomorrow is a clean slate. That's by Zig Ziglar. I don't know who Zig Ziglar is, but that's one hell of a name. Week 4 is about honesty. We have learned to keep an open heart and mind, be gentle with others, and remain humble. Sorry. However, that patience with oneself is seldom illustrated, may be unable to even look at, let alone forgive others for our past. Through choosing an honest life of freedom, we are granted a clean slate. This week we come clean. I spelled come, C-O-E. Come clean to either This week we come clean to either paper, or if you feel comfortable, you can choose someone you love. Think back to your mistakes, your errors, and your deepest anxieties. When we proceed into new territory, we don't deserve to carry this baggage of our past. We have used these last few weeks to build our courage and have grown to know it all begins in us. From now on, aiming to take responsibility of our actions, and if we're lucky, once and for all, forgive our greatest enemy, ourself. If we are lucky. Facts. Girl, I'll be writing these things. I don't know if I know how to spell. You know how I said I didn't want to use ChatGPT? Should I have? Because shit. Now we're going to go over the questions for the week. And okay, so I gave the option of telling another person. That is very program-esque of me to do. Okay, I put that option there because I think another soul is so fucking freeing. Let me say, Aubrey, if you're watching this, which I hope you're still following along. Aubrey, you can come to me to do that if you want, okay? If you don't want to do paper. Also, other people who are doing this that I might know, you can come to me. Like, people at work, whoever you are, like, I don't know, who's out there, okay? You can come to me to do that. Because, you can't just trust people. We can't just be out here trusting people and telling them our deepest, darkest secrets, okay? Maybe even use your mom. I think that's a good person to use, like your mom or a sibling, like someone blood related to you. That's very program-esque of me. I had the luxury of going somewhere to do these things and having people that I trust and love to tell my deepest, darkest secrets to. You probably don't have that as a normie, as a normal person. So, paper is great though too. I think the paper thing is fantastic, and then burn the paper at the end. I'm all for burning things. I think that's just the girl in me, like the hunter-gatherer girl in me. It's just like burn things, I think is the best way to go about our emotions. I love that. I think it's like the best. So yeah. Monday. Do I have a guilty conscience? What am I hiding? Let me tell you, 50,000 people in the world have done it before. I thought I was so unique in the shit that I had done in my past. And if you know me, you'd be like, damn, Maddie, people did the same shit you did because you're a nutcase. Yeah, actually. Thank you. A lot of people. So you're not alone in any of this. And the guilty conscious thing is something that like terrorizes your life. And let me tell you, you don't want wrinkles? Oh, well, you're going to get it from a guilty conscience. You got a guilty conscience, you're going to get wrinkles. You're not going to be able to sleep. What does no sleep cause? Wrinkles. That's right, girl. You're learning. Let me tell you. And I don't know why wrinkles are like a going factor for some of my things. I think maybe it's just a funny way to put it, because I think we all need a reason. And, when I'm like, what does it matter anyways? When I get frustrated with these things, these great ideals, I'm like, what the fuck? I'm like, well, no wrinkles though. Eating. Tuesday. Make a list of past mistakes that still weigh on the conscious. Look for links. What similarities exist? So, for example, in my past, when I map out some of the things that I have done, they all correlate like in some way. A lot of mine dealt with my insecurities. Okay? I can't tell you, nor do I want, like, I'm not telling you mine, you know what I mean? So it's kind of hard for me to explain this, but a lot of them correlate with me being an insecure person. Some other ones correlate with me being a judgmental person too. So there are links in all of this. There are roots to our problems that we can dig out of the dirt and see, holy shit, it was all this way because of this. I can change this. We can move forward. This is something that I can figure out. And let me tell you, 90% of all this that you should applaud yourself for is the recognition. The work it takes to get the recognition out of all this is crazy, let alone the fact that you are recognizing or want to. So if you're frustrated, things won't budge, you don't know what's going on, you recognized things as a problem. Stop where you're at, chill, and applaud yourself. That is great work, my girl. That is great work, my dude. Love that. So these, you can go a little more in depth. Like I said, this is more, we've gathered all of our data. And the first week we were kind of gathering the data. Second week, gathering stuff, right? This fourth week, it's about execution. So we are mapping some things out. We are going a little more in depth. But I trust that you have learned your line at this point on what is hurting you and what is educating your soul. Okay? If you are walking away scarred as shit, chill out. Take it a step lower. Okay? This is intended to fluctuate. How deep or how light that you want to work this is up to you. If you have a somewhat guilty conscience, but nothing crazy, and you just, you want to get a few things out, you want to say some things, but it's going to really, really hurt you, just tread lightly. If you are ready to dive in and you feel like you want to be free of rid of this past, rid of this guilty conscience, rid of who you are in the past state, dive right in and spell that all out on paper. But you need to be your own guide. And I trust that if you are not your own compass, you're in the direction to try to become your own compass. If you need to take an extra week in between the spiritual aspect, the spiritual week and this week, where you are gaining your compass, gaining your intuition on how hard you can and can't bend your subconscious and bend like your own will in a way, then do that. Do I owe any apologies? Who have I wronged? And what ways does me being a better person relieve that tension within me? What I mean by framing the last question that way is, have I done enough work that it's okay? And we kind of talked about that with your compass and stuff. Do I need to take this a step further and actually kind of go to somebody and talk to them about my problems? Do I need to go tell them I'm sorry? Or is it something they don't know about? Is it far gone? Is it too far in the past? Or is that not something you're willing to apologize for? Whatever that, whatever. I think that's a good measure of whether you should go to people and apologize to them or go to them and ask, talk to them, I guess, in a way. And again, I'm trying to tread lightly because this is kind of a program-esque framed question, and this is not the program once again, on how deep that root of pain goes from the scenario. Is this something that you need to work on personally and not bother people with, and you need to forgive yourself and figure out a way? Or is this something that you feel it would benefit going to speak to somebody and letting them know, hey, I'm sorry for that. I'm sorry for that. And I should have said I'm sorry a long time ago. Or I want to take accountability for my actions now, and it might be late, but I'm sorry about that situation. And again, that's very program-esque. I think this is about writing it on paper, okay? Do I owe any apologies? Write them on paper. Write them down and burn them if you need to. Unless something's recent, it's weighing on your heart, and you should go to that person, okay? How much shame and guilt do I really hold? What was I drinking to cover up? More observation. A lot of observation this week too. What was I drinking to cover up? That can be hard to find too. I know it's not easy. Saturday. How am I going to forgive myself? How? Can I? What do I need? Okay. And I thought this week, if you are still struggling with this, like I'm sure I would be if I was doing this, maybe we could revisit writing a letter to yourself again to really forgive yourself. Revisit kind of like spending some time in nature, spending some time in solitude, because you need to be able to look at yourself face to face in the mirror, eye to eye. I am sorry. Okay. I forgive you. I'm sorry for the torment I caused based on your actions. I forgive you. I forgive you. I forgive you. If you can't do that, what do you need? How are you going to? Because you have to at some point. Do you want wrinkles? No. Do you want to be able to sleep at night? Yes. Do you want an open and full heart? Yes. So how are you going to do that? You can get there too. Sunday. What is my greatest internal conflict? This can be anything at all. Your greatest internal conflict. This could be financial. If you were to ask me this question a year ago, I would say financial. My true conflict was indeed alcoholism. My true conflict was my guilty conscience. Now, if you ask my internal conflict, it's my issue with my future. It's my issue with my purpose. Obviously, that's probably my biggest internal conflict and what I want out of my life. And I want you to be very honest and diligent in doing this. This could be greatest internal conflict, like one scenario that pops up every time you go to lay down. Like the one thing that just will not get out of your brain. It's maybe not ruining your life, or you don't think it is. Maybe not draining you as much as you think it is, but it is something that is deeply affecting you. Okay? What is your greatest internal conflict? That is a loaded question. This could be a relationship you hold with somebody. This could be your purpose in life. This could be anything. You can observe it as little and as much as you want. Just what is it though? I want you to identify it. Because I think we always think it's one thing, but indeed it's another. And the greatest battles that are going on inside in our subconscious, we're like working to cover them up. At least I know I am. Like my brain will go on maximum overdrive to try to like A, reshape the conflict, B, cover up the conflict. That's just me, girl. That's how it be. Something about all this too is like, in a way, you don't technically have to forgive yourself. You know, I think that that's really hard for people. At least it was for me. And maybe that's coming from an alcoholic and addict mind. So I struggle with that. Maybe it's easier for you to do so. But the point is that it's on the radar, you know, like, so don't be so hard on yourself if you can't. I had to learn to, like, maybe I can't. Maybe, like, you know, we don't always give forgiveness. I think that forgiveness and patience and stuff like that is a huge virtue and something that I aim to live by and something that you should aim to live by. And it should be really easy for us to forgive. I think that's a huge part of life that people skip over because we have pride, we have ego, and we're selfish and we think that we're right all the fucking time. And I've talked about that. I genuinely think, especially this generation, that we think we're fucking right all the time, and it's bullshit. We're always wrong, honestly. And we don't take other people into mind. We don't take them into consideration because we're selfish. And it might take time to forgive yourself. When somebody does something to you that's really, really bad, and you know in your heart you're supposed to forgive because that's what we're supposed to do as people, but part of you holds on to it and doesn't think you can yet, or you say that I need time and I need space, right? Which is something we're allowed to ask for, which is something you should ask for, is time and space. You can do that with yourself too. I need just a little time to forgive you. I need some time. I need some space. I can't just outright forgive you. That would be a lie. I am living with this guilty conscience. I am living with a heart that is broken on your behalf. I'm speaking to myself on your behalf. And I don't know if I can forgive you for that yet. And that's okay. It just needs to be on your radar that you're going to grow into that. As somebody who's really hard on herself, that's why I'm giving you that leeway and I'm giving you that space to breathe, because it was so much pressure for me to forgive myself. And people were asking me to do that. And I was just kind of like, fuck, like I low-key can't. Like, I don't know. I can't. Like, the shit that I have done, the shit that, how I ruined myself in this such a deep way and ruined who I am. I can't, I don't know if I can trust her right now. Like, I don't know if I can do that. And, like, I wouldn't forgive. So if this was somebody externally that did this to me, I don't know if I could forgive them. And that's okay. I want you to know that's okay. It just takes time. Okay. And that's like the significance in transformation, because we meet so many versions of ourselves in healing and in transformation. And we have so many like epiphanies and thoughts and revolutions. And you know, you just may be a few steps away from the revolution that teaches you forgiveness in such a deep and subconscious way. And like, there's so many new versions of yourself that you can get to know when you're free and you're living a guilt-free conscious and just living a life where you're happy and you're trying to move on. We meet these new different versions, and it's such a beautiful thing, because I don't know why I bring that up. I've talked about it before. I think like just meeting new versions allowed me to forgive myself, because I'm genuinely seeing that I'm not who I used to be. I think that's maybe why I think that. Like, I could see evidence that I stopped myself before I do things, that my actions are not the same as who I used to be, and that this new girl can be forgiven. It's not her fault. Oh, I wrote on here, and it's true. Time and patience heals all wounds. This is a time game. If you haven't watched some of my previous podcasts, one of my favorite pieces of advice to give to people in a healing journey is that it is temporary, and to picture these time periods as temporary, as a time of change. It gives a lot of leeway and allows you to be less hard on yourself, for sure. And I think same with forgiving yourself and the patience aspect. Time, getting away from that shit, heals all wounds. And that is something you have to look at and say, I owe more time. That's what you got to say. Okay, I owe a little more time. All right. Okay, we got a few weeks left. I just got to live with this and it'll heal all wounds. And that's trust. That's faith in the future. That's like, I don't know where I pan out, what happens, but I know I'm getting further and further away from my past. And my back, like, it started in recovery. It started with, this is my past. Well, no, it started like, this is my past. And then like this, and then this, and then this, until I'm here. And that's my past. And that's what time looks like, because we learn and we grow with like these different versions of ourselves that learn these new things and request us to look at life in a different way, because there's always more love to give. Right? And we have to have that attitude with ourselves too. And yeah, so I think like if you missed that episode, you should go back and watch it. It is, I don't even remember what episode it was. But I think that's good advice for a state of change and looking at things in such a timely manner. Yeah, and I think part of it too is like things don't work until we kind of recognize that they truly do not matter. And that comes with shaping who you are and what you believe and looking at yourself inwardly. But to understand that like all this shit that we've done, all these things that we think about or maybe don't, but our past, all this stuff doesn't fucking actually matter in the grand scheme of things. And you guys know too, another like piece of advice that I kind of like is the balancing act of like, you know, we live on a big rock and like we live on a big rock. You know, it's like we live like we're nothing. We're nothing. Like I'm meaningless. I'm meaningless. Like, and that's freeing. I mean nothing. You know, like in the grand scheme of life, in the grand scheme of things, people aren't thinking about me. People don't give a fuck about me. They don't give a fuck about the shit I did. They're not taking that shit home with them. I am. And I took away what they didn't walk away with. I took that home too. So I took away the pain of me already going through this experience, going through whatever, that already hurting me as it is. And then I take home their half because they don't give a fuck. They went home. They didn't take that shit home with them. And we talk about that. I think we assign ourselves things too. Life doesn't ask us to take that shit home. We took it. I assigned myself that homework that I didn't need to assign myself. And I'm freaked out. I'm friggity fucked up because of all that. And I think that's like, that goes with assigning ourselves shit and the fact that we don't matter. And there's a balance with that. Because either way, we have to hold ourselves accountable. So you can't forget that in all this. And I think that makes things tricky. But I think homeostasis and a representation of a really healthy brain is your measure of accountability and how bad you beat yourself up and your relationship with accountability and your relationship of moving forward with accountability. Because it's a tool. Accountability is a tool that allows us freedom and it allows us space. Okay. The immediate reaction to things being you taking accountability opens up your life in a whole new way that you don't even understand yet. And it's freeing. It allows you to move forward. That was just a little tip of advice. Okay. A little free advice there. Yeah. So I think there's like an absolute beauty with being on a floating rock. People take that shit too far though. Because if your life doesn't matter, you have to make it matter, first of all. And you have to walk away knowing that you did everything that you're supposed to do in a humanity like standpoint. Because that's what we're talking about here. We're talking about morals and all that shit. Not like, do you go out and be Gandhi? That's not what this is about. Holding yourself to a level is what it's about. And shaping that within yourself so that we're healing from the inside out. I'll say again. But that's the goal, is that we instill these things, not so that they'll work, but so one day we're on autopilot and we're just blossomed and we're glowing and we're happy and healthy, and our heart is open for anyone who needs it to be open to. And that's another goal we have, is an open heart and open mind that propels us way further than understanding these concepts, getting it. We get it. No, I have an open mind where I can listen and do anything, be willing to do anything that betters myself or other people, and have an open mind to doing that. Am I a philosopher, do you guys think? Or do you guys think I'm just annoying? Low-key. Yeah, I wrote on here, it's from I'm just built like this to I don't want to be built like this. I don't want to be built like this. I can change these things. I can change these aspects about myself. And it's okay for me to recognize them without tearing myself the fuck up. Yeah, and it's definitely about room for new. That's what all this is about. That's the whole point of these 4 weeks, is getting rid of the past to make room. Not so things are going to be perfect. Not so everything falls into place exactly how you want. But now you have space for the new shit. We're cleaning out the closet. It's like spring cleaning emotionally is kind of the goal in a lot of ways. Because these are the things that cause us to drink in excess. These are the things that cause us to have unhealthy relationships with alcohol. Not like, you're not an alcoholic, you're not an addict. That's not an issue for you, you know? So then why is your drinking not controlled? Why is your behavior not controlled? Why can't you do these things if you don't have an issue? Because of your subconscious, because of your guilty conscious, because of your bad heart, because of your lack of morals. This is why we drink. This is why we drink in excess. This is why shit isn't fun for us anymore. This is why we have to coddle ourselves and coax our soul, because we don't think we deserve it from anywhere else. The only place that will even accept us coddling it is from ourselves. And then we lose accountability. Then we lose freedom. Then we lose all of these things because we can't hold ourselves accountable because we hate ourselves. And we know that if we don't beat ourselves up, somebody else is going to do it. We think somebody else is going to do it. And that's the last thing we want. We'd rather it be us, right? That's how I felt about it. I'd rather it be me that beat myself the fuck up than somebody else be doing it. I take away my accountability. I take away my freedom, my chance at life, essentially, is what I do. And that's what the issue is. It's, what is my greatest internal conflict? Why am I asking that? Because I want to rid myself of these patterns, because I want to go out and drink casually once a month, and go have a good time and things be normal for me, instead of binge drinking in a way that furthers me down the bad path, that makes shit harder and harder for me to come out of. Because you drinking in excess isn't going to be the thing that helps you. We always think it's the thing that helps us, and it is never the thing that helps us. Okay? Drugs and alcohol are not a tool. They are not a tool. I thought they were too for a very long time, and that's just not the case. They're not there to help you. They're only going to hurt you. Kind of like how we discuss overthinking is what fucks us. We don't overthink ourselves to a root and get our problem out. We overthink ourselves to a state of fuck, of absolute shit. That's what we overthink ourselves into. Okay, yeah. And I think, again, at the end of this week, because we're getting towards the end here, so our final episode will divulge, all of the lessons, all the things that we want to take away. But again, if you would like to assess your relationship with alcohol at this time, from this week moving forward, this is another great place to do it. Take a cleansing shower or bath. Picture the past and negativity washing away. Continue your routine in silence and quiet contemplation. Oh my God, I have really bad typos. I have to redo this. Quiet contemplation. If you're met with anger, look in the mirror and say, I love you, until the feeling subsides. This is an aim to not only seek our naked truths, but love ourselves for it. And that's the thing too. When you start getting honest and clean about, with yourself, a new pride erupts. And that's a genuine pride that we talked about, the confidence that we're gaining, because our confidence comes from our heart and from our soul and from the work we've done, not what we look like. And that's kind of an example of it. You really do start to love you for your naked truths, and love you for your story and for being honest. I love myself for the way I've changed in my past. And I had to seek that out, and what a cleansing shower is kind of weird. I used to picture this all the time when I would take a shower, but literally picturing everything roll off, everything that everything shower where there's no music, maybe some meditation music in the back, maybe nothing going on but you and your naked body. Weird. I'm sorry. I'm fucking sorry. And yourself. And you being cleansed and so naked and so like a virgin in a way, there's no lack of a better word, white is what I'm picturing, you know what I mean? And I guess it's in a baptism way. I don't know what I mean by this. Okay. But it really helps me to understand that I can be pure. I can be clean. And I'm not religious. I'm not saying this for some God or whatever, for myself. And I think that goes with the fact that part of my pain was me having childhood ripped away from me and feeling, like I'm not, what is the word? Innocent. My innocence being stripped from me. What is that word? I was never very innocent. Okay. I was never an innocent little kid. Didn't last long. And my innocence being stripped from me was a huge issue that I had. It was painful. And I needed to see myself in a light that I wasn't so dirty and so disgusting. Just so gross is how I felt about myself. And I needed to instill that. And maybe it's maybe I'm proposing a self-baptism. Maybe that's what I'm proposing here. Take it as you will. Take it as you will. If you're religious, take it as you will too. It helps me. I used to have to do the showers all the time. Honestly, I'm past due for one. I could use one. And maybe it's giving ritual. It's giving witch. So I like that too. Head out into the moonlight, girl. Head out into that lake in that white dress. Say his name 3 times into the wind, And then write a letter forgiving yourself genuinely for your past. We've done a lot of writings, a lot of letters. Okay. But they work. I don't know what you want me to say. I don't know what you want me to say about that. They work. Can you forgive yourself? If you can't, how am I going to? What do I need? We go back to the questions. We revisit. Okay. So I hope this week isn't like weird for you guys. I hope you guys actually struggle with this type of shit. With this type of shit. After 4 weeks, aim to shed your old ways and blossom into who you're meant to be. I hope you found new ways to love yourself. Although our goal is to examine our relationship with alcohol, we learned it is a reflection of something much deeper. These weeks were vigorous and intense in self-work, but allow us to see life for what it really is. As this chapter comes to a close, I urge you to reflect on both your use of alcohol moving forward and what parts of this program you want to implement in your daily life. We have always grown from within. I'm proud of you and love you. Best of luck and great work. XX, Maddie P. Next week, we will kind of talk about maybe what you could do moving forward. What kind of the end of assessing alcohol relationships look like, and maybe what you want to do from there. This is our final week, girl. This is our final week. And I hope that you're able to walk away with kind of like some balance and like your guilty conscience kind of sinking away. Let me tell you, if you're sprinting to the alcohol and you're very excited for it and you're ready to get on the alcohol train again, maybe we like take a step back. Maybe we meditate for like 1 more week and like take our time getting back into it. And that's what really helps shape our brain, I think, is going against cravings no matter who you are. I think that gave me so much power, and that's what we're doing. We're taking our power back. We're taking our power back. And it gave me so much power to, when I'm craving things, like for me it was obviously different because I have a problem. So like, but to deny yourself of those things time and time again, even with like vaping, even with overeating, like this came in so many facets, not because I haven't relapsed, luckily, thank the heavens, knock on glass, say my ass, whatever. But in other facets. So like denying yourself of things that you want builds so much power within you and builds such a home inside of you, which is another thing that we're trying to do. We're aiming to build a home in ourselves. We're aiming to find these things within us, so we're not searching for it in the exterior. That's what causes us to overdrink. That's what causes us to binge on whatever it is looking for these things outside of ourselves. We're never going to find them. You're not going to drink yourself home. And I want you to understand that. You're not going to drink yourself there. And you're not going to find it. It's already within you and you're making it worse. Okay. You have to go find that on your soul journey and look for that shit within yourself. I think like your power is of utmost importance moving forward and denying yourself of these things so that you can look inward to find them. This is weird, but I've even had this extra kind of layered with the vaping thing because like I will feel an intense emotion, these intense feelings. And I'm like, I just want to fucking vape, like whatever it is. And it's just like, no, the answer is within you and you got to grow up. You got to grow up. You got to dig deep and you got to look internally. Why are you freaking out about a fucking vape? Why is that going to be your answer? What does that give you? And I have to observe that. And it's painful to do. I think that people think it's easy, maybe. And maybe this is a glimpse of you seeing how difficult that is to, when you want something, when you need a Band-Aid, when you want to be fixed, doing it the right way is the goal, kind of, right? Doing these things the right way so that it doesn't cause us to binge drink, so that drinking is not a tool for us, right? It's something that we can call upon in a time of fun. It is something we can use to relax, to hang out, do whatever. And not to relax, not for it to deter us from even understanding what relaxation is, which if you struggle with that, there is I think it's 5 p.m. episode talks about that too. The issue with relaxation we all have and the fact that we can't really relax because we're either pained about going back to work again tomorrow or whatever it is. And we don't actually get to relax because we know it's a facade and that we just go back and that, that kind of deal. So continue your search inward and continue to analyze yourself in times of want, because what you really need is a heart that's fixed. And what you really need is yourself to be there for yourself and to build a home out of you so that when you're struggling, you can look to the next room. And that takes a lot of work, but it is worth everything because you're saving yourself so many calories, girl. so many calories and you're saving yourself so much heartbreak because the answer is not at the bottom of the bottle. The answer is not in the club. The answer is not up that man's ass. The answer is not the bottom of the bag of chips. Sorry to call you out. It's just these things that we binge on naturally in life. And I know that people struggle with this because people struggle with alcohol. People struggle with drugs, and not in a way of alcoholism or addiction necessarily like myself. It is natural for people to struggle with alcohol in some ways, you know. At least you've had a few blackouts that sucked in your life, or a few times that you overindulged or had a little too much fun, you know. So that's why I feel kind of confident saying this to you guys, because I know that you feel the same. And because having fun is also part of building your home. Okay? When people say like you can have fun without drinking, I've said this before, I did not side with that either. I'm like, no, you can't, you stupid bitch. Literally, that's not true. Alcohol is the most fun thing on the planet. I felt that for so long. I probably didn't even smile. I barely smiled unless it was forced when I first was in recovery. Like, no, this is not fun. You know, life without alcohol, life without drugs is not fun. So I think, okay. And I think instilling that is another major question that helps with our binge drinking in the future, is trying to live by the philosophy that you don't need to drink to have fun. You don't have to part with that, you know, like you can still drink recreationally and like, you know, maybe you like, but really starting to believe that, helps, because that having fun with yourself and seeing life in a gentle way in this new perspective, because there's always more love to give, creates a fun aspect out of it. And I think that causes a lot of people to binge too, is the fun and relaxation and all that shit. Yeah, because now to me, I recognize that like as a sober person, I have to make things fun. I choose that. And a lot of that is the fact that there's more love to give always, and there's always more work to be done, and always more smiles to give too. And I think making missions for yourself every day of like, why is this not fun for me? Why is it not exciting to be my best self? Why do I hate myself this much? You know, because if we love ourselves, we don't have that issue. We understand these great things in life, but we all circle, especially as women, we all circle around the impending doom that exists with self-hatred and with self-judgment. And we look towards the bottom of things, as in the bottom bag of chips, the bottom of a bottle, the bottom of a drink, whatever, because we think it's going to fix that. We think it's going to fix that. And it just never does. And once you see that for what it is, you don't look at it the same. And I mean that to inspire you in a way, to know that that is the truth. That once you see, like once I saw drugs and alcohol as like a facade, and for the truth of what it really is, I'll never be able to go back the same, because it's not real. And it, you know, and once you see it like that, it's like, oh shit. You know, and maybe you can go back to drinking casually, but you understand that as a fixer, to use it as medicine or whatever reason that you use it for, because you use it for some reason. If you're here, you drink in excess in some way. You might not be an alcoholic, but you drink in excess in some way, and you're recognizing that. Sometimes I just forget what I'm saying. I'm sorry. Okay, there's a lot of thoughts and stuff going on over here. Oh, that you see that all of it's a facade. And that's real life, because I'll never be able to go back. You know, even if I, like, God bless again, even if I relapse, something happens. Like, and I'm not too naive to think that either. Like, I make this podcast and stuff, like, but I know that this is about mental health for that reason, because I know in reality I'm an addict and I'm an alcoholic, and I can't be too naive to say that I will never touch something again. I pray to God I do not. I really hope I don't, because I know the dangers and I know what could potentially happen to me. And I don't think survival is in the question, very much so, but I know I wouldn't be getting anything out of it the same. And I know it would just be like another game and we make that game within ourselves. We all have our own game of what these very things look like, and we all have our own recipe, but you're playing a game with yourself, and you have for a while, because it is all a facade, and it is a game that you created in your personal weird relationship with alcohol. And I will call it weird because, like I've said, I think all of us have some type of weird relationship with alcohol, whether you're a normal drinker or not. Something weird has happened in some way, and I invite you to see it as a facade. I invite you to see that it's a game, okay? And that moving forward, you can't use it as medicine. There is no medicine other than your soul. And it sucks, but it's the mature route to take. And that's how we really get to the root of our problems now, is to understand that. And that's how we fix ourselves moving forward. And sometimes it's not that we need fixing, you know? I'll say it over and over again. We are the result of our pain. We are not necessarily a result of our joy and of our happiness and of our great memories. We're a result of the bad things that have happened to us. And there's nothing wrong with that. And we're moving and we're shaping and we're growing. We're not perfect and we're not angels. These things like a clean conscience, all this stuff, this purity that I talk about in some ways isn't to make us perfect for anybody else. It's so that we glow from within. So that pain and shit we feel, we're there for ourselves in a real best friend way that makes sense. In a real way that when you're crying at night or you can't sleep, you can analyze it and you can be there for yourself in a very real way. This then creates, guess what? A bigger pool of men that you get to choose from. A broader side of life that you'll get to pick from later. You're opening your world up to all of these different things, and you're becoming a more mature woman that is going to gain more out of your life. And I applaud you for that, because you are going to gain more from assessing your relationship at all, to any level, no matter how hard you took this, no matter if you did 1 week, 3 days, or 4 weeks, whatever you did. I applaud you, because you deserve that. And to begin to see things in a much more mature light, and taking the long route and taking the scenic route, of healing, because that's what it takes. Is you have to be willing to every single time get back on the fucking scenic route and take the long way home. Every time you're feeling bad, you got to take the long way home, right back into your soul, and figure out what's going on, because nothing else can fix you in this world, and that sucks. But once you see it that way, is a lot of freedom. So week 4 is complete. I said next week. We'll see what next week is. Okay, I haven't planned this far. I'm filming pretty in advance. It's like the beginning of May. Okay. So sorry. I know, a little not professional of me. I haven't decided if we're going to talk about everything next week, if we have Aubrey on next week and talk about it that way, or what's happening. I don't know yet. I'm sorry. Yeah. But I hope that you're getting to some of the bottom of your binge drinking, or of your drinkings, of your heart in general. And I hope that you choose to take the mature route. Because guess what? If you do all these things right, maybe you can have a normal relationship with alcohol. Gasp. And when you go to drink or something, you're not overthinking it or freaking out about it, because you know it's casual and you know you're using it in the way that it's intended to be used. Okay. That's also another thing. I don't think there is any intended use of alcohol. The intended use was to escape from the very beginning. That's the intended use of alcohol. That's the point. Is literally like escape. It's poison, you know? And yeah, but building this relationship in a way that makes sense and assessing it to its core over and over and over again. So I love you guys, and I'll see you next week. Bye.